There are many heroes in Los Angeles, but not everyone is played by a Hollywood actor. Welcome to The Current. I'm Aaron Hendel.
And I'm Cindy Robinson. Every day, people in our community go out of their way to help others.
And I'm Helen Flourish. This week on The Current, we take a look at people who are making a difference in Los Angeles. Let's get started.
Thanks, Helen. The competitive world of college sports can be grueling both mentally and physically. I met one young athlete who faced even greater challenges than most and thrived.
Courtney Ryan has been an all-star athlete for as long as she can remember.
When I was 4 years old, I started playing soccer.
She was MVP of her high school soccer team, but she wasn't about to stop there.
I was recruited to play at Metro State College of Denver.
On October 8th, in the middle of her junior year soccer season, Courtney woke up feeling a little off.
One morning I woke up, kind of had this weird sensation in my legs. It was kind of numb, tingling, but I thought it was just fatigue from playing soccer so much because there's high demand when you're at a collegiate level. That evening, I still was feeling weird before the game had started, and about 15 minutes into it, I was running for a ball, and I just felt like this horrible stabbing pain in my back and collapse, and don't really remember much after that because I went into a shock.
She was paralyzed from the waist down. Doctors said a blood clot had burst in her spinal cord, causing the nerves to detach. She moved home to San Diego for what she describes as a grieving process. But with the support of her parents and new friends in the disabled community, she traded her cleats for a new set of wheels.
The first time I went to a sports chair, it just completely changed everything for me. The competitiveness was there, the camaraderie was there.
Once again, Courtney was recruited on a scholarship, but this time to the University of Arizona's wheelchair basketball team. Only 2 years after her injury, she made it to the national level and competed in the World Championship for a spot in the Paralympics. But aside from scoring points on the scoreboard, she also scored love on the court.
Initially, what drew me to her was her humor. She's really easy to be around, and we have a really easy dynamic.
We met at University of Arizona. At the time that I met her, I was just shy of a year from my, what we call Gimpversary, my Gimp day. And instantly her personality, I was just drawn to it. And she really helped me kind of, move forward with it.
I asked her to marry me, and when we were at a rally in West Hollywood. But I knew that I was going to ask her. I told her, and she had to wait for me to ask her. We're getting married September 3rd.
The college graduates recently started their own wheelchair basketball team called Shield Maidens, the only women's team in California.
When we moved to California, we realized how many women, athletic women there were here, and they were all playing on men's teams. And so finally we were just like, we have to start something. That's very rewarding to have to give the opportunity to these women to be able to travel and to compete at a high level.
But Courtney says traveling is a whole new experience when you're disabled.
Oh, it's a show. It's a show. I mean, you saw us coming in here. We all have 2 chairs mostly. So, I mean, there's a lot of stares, a lot of looks, a lot of glares. We all have a good sense of humor about it.
Courtney now works at a rehabilitation hospital with people who have also suffered spinal cord injuries.
My job is to kind of be a mentor towards these newly spinal cord injuries, and just to kind of get them out the door, to push them to try new things, and to prove to them that they can still achieve those dreams.
Whether it's the game of basketball or the game of life, Courtney is on the rebound. For Annenberg Media, I'm Madeline White.
We are now joined by another student athlete who turned a life-altering accident into a learning experience for thousands of teens. Miguel Rivera is a high school friend of mine and an inspiration to me as well as many others. Thanks for joining us, Miguel.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So we went to high school together and we both played sports.
Right.
Really big deals in high school.
Yeah, big time.
How important was sports to you?
Sports was a huge part of my life ever since, I started growing up. Throughout my childhood, I played sports. So by the time I got to high school, it got to that point where, we're all kind of young adults, so it got a little bit more serious. So I took it a little bit more serious because throughout my life, I played baseball, basketball, and football. So when I got to high school, I focused on football. So that's how serious it was for me to kind of cut out all the sports and really focus on one sport. That's something that, it got to the point where I took it pretty serious during that time, yeah.
Now, I mentioned a life-altering accident. Let's talk about that a little bit. Take me back to that night. What exactly happened?
That night was, it was a different night. It was very unusual. It was August 15, 2009, and I remember seeing two friends stumbling into the house. And then I remember seeing my friend telling me, don't drive, don't drive. And for some reason I had said, I'm okay. I only lived about 5 minutes away. This was Downey to Norwalk, so it wasn't that far. And I told her that, I'm okay to drive. So I ended up getting in the car, going to the freeway, which is right around the corner. And about a mile or two down the freeway, I fall asleep on the wheel, and I kind of start drifting to the left, and I crash into a side rail, and I flip about 4 or 5 times down off of the freeway, landing upside down. Yeah, so, and then the next thing I remember is hearing firefighters just yelling out, 1, 2, 3, and that was them using the jaws of life to cut off the roof of the car to pull me out, because they had to handle me with such care. They didn't really know how injured I really was. So that was pretty much what I remember from the night of that accident.
And at what point did you realize that your injuries were more severe than just a scratch or two?
Well, when I woke up the next day, I remember looking to the right and seeing my parents in tears. And from that point on, I woke up already knowing it was a very, very serious accident. And the next thing I remember is the doctor coming into my room, and he's mentioned, Miguel, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're no longer going to be able to walk again. And from that point on, my life completely changed physically, mentally, everything. It just completely changed, and I didn't know what I was going to do from that point on. So from that point on, it was pretty tough experience for me to really, take everything in. Yeah.
And I can only imagine seeing all your plans that you've, are getting ready to go to college and having to deal with that. How did you get from that sad moment of this is hard to deal with to inspiring others?
I'm not gonna lie, it was really difficult to get to that moment. And honestly, it took me about 2 years to get through it, just because of the fact for those 2 years, I was in deep depression. I really didn't know how I was gonna live my life. I didn't want to live my life this way. And so for me to get to that moment, it took a lot of digging deep within inside of me. But the number one thing I would say that kind of got me to that moment was just the support of my family and very close friends. Because a lot of my friends before my injury, I had a really large amount of friends, but once I got injured, a lot of them vanished. So the support was the main thing. That support system really kind of got me through it. And once I got that support, I was able to think critically about what I want to do in my life and what is it that I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. So it took a lot of digging deep within inside of me just really, realize what it is that I want to do in my life. And the one thing that came to mind was, I survived for a reason. And there was obviously a purpose for me. And not many people get a second chance, especially at, the type of accident that I had. So it came down to me just realizing that, I'm not going to take this second chance for granted. So I'm going to make the best of it.
Now, you founded an organization called Dream Big Project.
Right.
What exactly is that?
The Dream Big Project is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And our mission is to educate, inspire, and provide for youth living in inner city communities. So what we do is we educate on the dangers of drinking and driving and the importance of being educated. And we inspire others to, everyone to dream big. And we provide elementary school students with backpacks full of school supplies. So one of our signature projects is our backpack distribution program, which we do annually. So last year, for example, we provided over 300 backpacks to a local school in Norwalk, Sanchez Elementary School. So pretty much that's what we're about. I usually go to middle schools, elementary schools, high schools, and share my story and knowledge and the experience of everything that I've learned pretty much from this new life that I've been given.
Miguel, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what else you do in the future.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. You can find out more about the organization and how to get involved at dreambigproj.org.
Next, reporter Michelle Tack introduces us to a breast cancer survivor from Boyle Heights who is bringing comfort to other cancer patients, one gift basket at a time.
As Isabel Guillen heads to the hospital to deliver her homemade baskets of comfort, she worries about whether she will have enough.
So I wanted to make sure I got extra things for some of the patients because every time I've come to drop off a basket, they tell me, what about me?
What about me is a question she once asked herself. At the age of 31, Guillen felt a lump in her breast, but her doctors told her not to worry.
They told me that I was too young for breast cancer.
So her worries faded.
And about 7 months later, I ended up in the ER.
It was then Guillen was treated for stage 3 breast cancer.
So 7 months had went by, and when they removed both my breasts, so I had a double mastectomy.
But shortly after, Guillen received more devastating news.
It was very hard.
Her father, Don Rogelio, was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer. He died in 2013.
It took a while for me to understand that he was in a better place.
But his death inspired her to help others fighting cancer, and during the holidays, she puts together dinner baskets in his name.
Christmas still comes, and Thanksgiving still comes, and some families just don't have the money, or they're too sick to go out and purchase these things for their family.
Today, Guillen is cancer-free.
You're a breast cancer survivor.
Conqueror.
Conqueror. I love that.
Yeah.
And to help patients just like her, who are going through their own battles with cancer, Guillen, through donations, puts together those comfort baskets. The items that fill each basket, books, wigs, and knit goods, are mostly paid for with her own money, while some are donated.
Being that we're here in Boyle Heights, this community doesn't have the support that they need, and so I decided to do something about it.
I decided to join her on a delivery to the White Memorial Medical Center. The lucky patient on this day? Olga Lemus, who has been receiving treatments for 7 months.
So I'm excited to see her face.
And Olga's reaction is all the reward she needs.
Gracias. Estoy bonita.
Dr. Romero has been a witness ever since Guillen started her deliveries.
Some of them have had the opportunity to receive baskets 2-3 years in a row. And it's become something, I guess, part of them. You know, Isabel has become part of them as well.
After giving gifts to the patients, Guillen and I paid a visit to the radiation center where she used to get treatment. Hi. And she was no stranger.
She's an angel. She's an angel to a lot of people.
Guillen makes frequent visits to the center. She credits it with saving her life, and she wants to pass on encouragement to others.
I really feel that faith is what got me through. Cancer doesn't always have to mean death. Just keep fighting.
Fighting to keep the faith. Reporting for Annenberg Media, I'm Michelle Tack.
Another one of our local heroes is transforming a South LA community with gardening and fresh produce. Reporter Maddie Paglia introduces us to a former doctor who's not afraid to get his hands dirty.
South Long Beach Boulevard in Compton used to be known as a hangout for prostitutes and rival gang members. Now, it's known for organic cabbage, red beets, and fresh strawberries.
I've been trying for years to get a community garden here.
Former neurosurgeon Dr. Sheridan Ross was forced into retirement after a lifelong illness caused him to lose feeling in both of his hands.
The loss of sensation in my fingertips was slowly going up my hand. And in about 2 months, I started losing it, and it was all the way to my fingers.
He left behind his surgical tools to pick up some new ones.
It took us about 3 months to clean this lot out. The grass and the weeds on this was about high as your shoulder.
This land was slated to be a used car lot before Dr. Ross took it over. One volunteer calls it a strategic location.
The community garden's strategic. It's placed on Long Beach Boulevard, which is our human trafficking. A lot of prostitution happens right in the garden, right on the streets outside the garden.
We can work together to make things more smoother and less violence, you know what I mean?
The problems we have within this area is that we've been designated what's called a food desert. A food desert, the designation is because you don't have enough supermarkets to maintain fresh vegetables for your community.
Aside from providing fresh organic produce for the surrounding community, the Compton Community Garden has even inspired other schools in the area to start planting gardens of their own. One of these schools is Isla Academy in Crenshaw.
Them being able to grow food and know what it feels like to have their hands in soil, and it's a messy job, but it's also fun and you can eat from the earth. I think that's a great thing.
For some, a message to the kids. For others, a community treasure.
Demographics play a part, and it's going to be a community treasure to have something like this, and we'll grow it to a good thing. I think it's going to be a very good thing for everyone, not just the students.
It's getting to outside of the comfort zone, and that's the process that a garden can do.
For the volunteers who come to help, it's an opportunity to learn from the man behind it all.
And I met Dr. Ross, and that's how I got hooked up with the garden, and it helped me change my life and find a new direction.
Ex-gang member Anthony Dixon spent 26 years of his life behind bars.
Well, my background started out with sirens, me getting locked up, incarcerated as a juvenile. I spent 26 years of my life behind bars. Had a hard, dark life.
But thanks to Dr. Ross, his life has turned around.
Basically, it's like this. He showed me that I got the tools and what to do with the tools to do better.
And do you feel like there's not enough people like him out there?
No, it really isn't.
Some volunteers would even go as far to say Dr. Ross is a hero.
He's an amazing man. I rarely find something that he hasn't done or tried or accomplished. He is the unsung hero of Compton.
But for him, it's something he simply enjoys doing.
You get people coming in from off the streets and everything. I like to talk to them and everything and say, okay, this is where you're at now. Let me show you how you can get from here to here.
Whether he's your hero, your mentor, or your gardener, there are many who thank him just for being the person he is. For Annenberg Media, I'm Maddie Paglia.
Now, we all know that most kids love playing with animals, but did you know that dogs, cats, and even horses can help children who need emotional or physical therapy? Trainers at Carousel Ranch say that animals can play a large part in their young patients' healing process. Take a look.
Nestled in the hills of Agua Dulce, a circle of hope for kids with special needs.
What do you think of tractors?
For 18 years, Carousel Ranch has introduced children to horseback therapy.
One kid grew to 3, grew to 5, grew to 10. Oh my gosh, we better go board at a stable. Grew to 20. Oh, now we need our own arena, and it just grew.
And so did the kids' smiles.
That's what it's about. It's not about being the best equestrian. It's not about, it's taking these kids and helping them be the best they can be, each one of them, whatever that means.
Where's my high five? You gave the girls a high five. Good job. Good job today.
Now meet Caitlin, who carries her backpack wherever she goes.
She's extremely creative. Very, very creative. Her favorite subject is probably reading and art.
The kind of books?
Animals and mysteries.
Even her backpack is a mystery to most people, but not her mother.
She has a mitochondrial disease.
It's what's keeping her alive.
She is on 24/7 TPN, which is IV nutrition, as well as she has a feeding tube in her stomach. She actually just had her gallbladder removed.
The surgery, along with other health complications, kept Caitlin from riding for several weeks, but now she's back on the reins.
She does definitely miss it. She gets excited when she gets to come back out here.
Sometimes all these kids need is a helping hand, or hoof rather, to get them through the day and on to the road to recovery.
Experts at the USC Center for Health Professions say that animals can provide special needs children experiences that humans and machines often can't.
Kids are in a social interaction, and all of a sudden the stress is gone. And that's magical. We have coexisted. Our bodies, especially with dogs, have literally co-shaped each other.
Since riding, Caitlin has improved almost every aspect of her life.
She's about as introverted as you can get and has separation anxiety and stuff, but within 2 sessions, she was talking to her therapists and having conversations with them.
It wasn't necessarily about the horseback riding, it was about developing her confidence in that if she could do that, really she could do anything.
Even soaring to heights she never would have dreamed of reaching just a few months ago. In Agua Dulce, Giovanni Mujais, Atvn News.
For most kids, sports are an important part of school, but for children attending religious schools, beliefs can make it difficult to participate in physical education. Annenberg Media's Dan Lovey shows us how one coach is overcoming these barriers.
Ben Yeager is not your typical PE coach. He works at Amic Hebrew Academy in Sherman Oaks, California, an Orthodox Jewish elementary and middle school. The religious school hasn't had a functioning athletic program since it was founded in 1961. But Yeager has already started to change that.
It's hard to create that atmosphere of togetherness and school pride when there's never been really anything like that. So it takes some time, but I think we're getting there.
Sports and Orthodox religion don't normally go hand in hand. Yeager and his students face challenges that most other children their age don't have to deal with.
You know, the one thing is difficult for the boys is that they have to wear a kippah when they play. Sometimes that's obviously different. The girls, it's harder for them. They have to wear skirts when they play because of the religious beliefs. So they have to wear long skirts and long shirts, and that makes it very difficult for them.
Scheduling can also cause problems. Religious studies occupy most of the students' time, and in Orthodox Judaism, boys and girls aren't allowed to interact with one another. That means Yeager has to plan out literally every second when creating the sports schedule for the day. In addition to being the boys' PE instructor, Yeager also serves as the school's athletic director and varsity basketball coach. Last year, Yeager said there were barely enough students who wanted to sign up for the basketball program. This year it's been a completely different story. So many kids wanted to sign up that, unfortunately, not all of them could make the team. Yeager works with students individually after school. That way he can start teaching them the fundamental skills from an earlier age. His coaching style must be working. The varsity team went undefeated this season in the Jewish Day School League before falling short in the championship game. The JV team, however, won the championship in quite dramatic fashion. For Annenberg Media, I'm Dan Lovey.
Wow, I think it would be extremely difficult to have to play any sport in a skirt.
What do you have to wear as a track athlete?
We wore shorts. I mean, you have to cover everything. You know, you're running.
Obviously everything is covered.
The shorts were a little revealing at times, but I mean, you could wear longer shorts if necessary. But a skirt, that's...
Yeah, how would that have gone for you, Cindy?
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked too well.
No. Thanks for watching this episode of The Current. You can always find us at uscannenbergmedia.com.
Next week, we'll take a look at health on campus.
If you have a story that you'd like to see on the show, tweet us at USC Annenberg Media with the hashtag TheCurrentSC.